Rick, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Keith. I'm fine. How about yourself?
Good, good. Here's our next episode. The title is Are Stories or Narratives About Your Past Still Running Your Life? What made me think about this is just when I reflect back on the kind of peace that I have now, uh, it's because of something that you taught me many years ago, which was begin to live in the present moment. And when I'm living in the present moment, I am not bringing the past with me, and I am not looking to the future about anything. I'm just rooted right here. And when I do that, man, it's amazing. Like all the beauty and novelty that's all around me. I just feel like so much love. Even if what I'm experiencing or what I seem to be experiencing or what my mind may be fixated on at the moment or my heart may be dragged down by is something that's undesirable. If I can just be present, it doesn't seem like much, but that creates this little space to where I can see what else is also available in that moment. And it's just so much love. You know, we tell this story all the time that
Mhm.
in the midst of a tragic event, something like a car accident or something else that may happen, you can be fixated on the damage of the car accident and, whether people were injured or not. But if you continue to look, you'll see the helpers. You'll see people helping. So in the midst of that, you'll see people helping. And so when I think about the suffering that I've had, a lot of it has been about me ruminating about something from the past. And a great example, which I've told before, was my childhood was one in which it was I could describe it as challenging. There was a lot of abuse in my family with my stepfather's struggle with alcohol and verbal and physical abuse growing up. And it was a place that as a kid I didn't feel safe. But after that event was over, I still carried that with me. And it showed up in my relationships in which I wouldn't let people get very close to me. I carried a lot of hurt and resentment and hate toward my stepfather. Now, me living with my stepfather had ended a long time ago, but I kept that alive in me. And Michael Singer has this thing, right? If it's not happening now, then you let it go. And if it is happening now, then of course you deal with it, but you deal with it in a way that will lead to peace. And I see people do it all the time. I can tell this story when I give talks at Mayo Clinic that I have a friend whose mom got divorced 30 years ago, and she's still talking about the divorce 30 years ago. And she might as well have stayed married. And I see the same thing happen in other areas. People will talk about their boss or the place they used to work at or what happened in their hometown and all this other stuff. And it just continues to show up if you don't let it go. And I think that's really important that you stop letting those things run your present life. An example of it would be is if you had a former partner in which the relationship didn't work out, and you created certain narratives about the partner relationship, you will begin to date someone new, and you'll say, "Oh, I can't be with them. They remind me of my ex." Your ex isn't even here. And so we kind of do this kind of projection onto other people, and it just runs our life over and over and over again. The life experience we've had, if we were to quantify what that is and compare it or measure it against of what all the life experiences that have taken place over the existence of time, humankind, of time, it is what we have experienced is statistically insignificant. I don't even know if it ever rounds up past zero. That's how insignificant it is. But we want to act like these experiences we've had are like what we should be basing our whole lives on, which we've experienced very little. And so I think it's really important that we transcend our narratives. And thankfully, I have in my life, growing up in the South, I walked away from that time with a lot of narratives about the South. And I thought the way that I saw growing up in the South as being oppressive, as being one in which people weren't treated with respect and dignity, I thought that that was the only way to see the South. There are a lot of people that experience the South completely different than I did. that have also grew up in very similar circumstances that I did, but they saw it differently. And so I think it's really important that you don't allow your past or your narratives and stories about your past to continue running your life. Rick, what do you have to say?
Well, that's a lot, Keith. I sure agree with you on the importance of not letting a narrative control you. Um, well, I'm far from an expert on controlling my own narrative, but I do a lot of thinking about it. And I think over the years, I've developed more or less a strategy for dealing with it. And I think the first thing that I had to realize was it's possible to control your own narrative. I think a lot of people just feel, well, this happened to me. How can you feel anything other than the way I feel? And that gets in the way. Like,
Yeah.
in your situation with your abusive stepdad, you could go down the path of saying, I hate him and I hate pe all people like him. I hate people who drink alcohol or whatever the common thing is that he exhibited that you didn't like. And you could make your whole life about that or make a good portion of it about it. But it's so much more freeing if you can recognize that it's possible to control your own narrative and just stop thinking that way. I mean, it's just a matter of will. It's a matter of not sliding into the easy way. Hate is easy.
Yeah.
Dislike is easy. Judging is easy. But if you want to dictate your own path in life, I think you want to make sure that you first of all recognize that you can be who you want to be. You can control that narrative. Okay. So if you do that, maybe you start out by maybe role playing. You just say, okay, I'm going to pretend that I don't hate my stepdad because he was an alcoholic. The idea is that whatever tool you can use to try to get past the narrative that's holding you back is a good one. So, it reminds me of, I think Wayne Dyer said it, or someone in the self-help industry, maybe it was Michael Singer, said something along the lines of, if you don't write your own script, somebody else will be happy to do it for you. They'll write it for you. So it's really important that you recognize you have that power, that personal power, to make your life about whatever you want it to be, and stopping a narrative that's holding you back is a start. Secondly, I think it's important to believe that you can control it, that you have the control of it. You can set out to be a certain way. You can't have everything. Realistically, you're not going to be able to always control it, but you want to make sure that you at least know what's going on. You're capable of making the change, of living the life that you want without a narrative holding you back. And then lastly, this is always part of the practice. The idea is that the practice requires self-reflection. We need to look at what our
Yeah.
baseline is for our narrative, and then we need to answer questions like, what do I want out of my life? How do I want my story to play out? So I think those are a few things that have helped me along the way. But as always, it's a practice, and you continue, I continue, you continue to work on it every day.
I love it, Rick. Oh man, I love it. Wow. Thank you. You
No, you're welcome,
no,
Keith.
that's beautiful. I have nothing to add, Rick. Thank you. I love you.
I love you, Keith. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.